Hey, 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 welcome everybody. It's Mitch, it's Mike. It's Mitch and Mike's voiceover journey. And today on the show, we've got one, the only, that didn't sound right, but Mike Ciporkin. Mike Ciporkin is on the show. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
There he is. Oh, Mike brings his own
need
sound effects as well.
Yeah,
So we're
via
going to
his
tap into
mouth.
that.
Yeah, okay.
Bump, bump. Hello, what's up? I'm Mike Ciporkin. Yeah.
Are you another one of those guys that's got a radio background? We've seen an interview everybody who's ever been on the radio ever in the history of ever.
But he's been
Negatron.
pretending to be those guys for
Yeah, exactly.
probably his whole life.
Yeah.
Nope,
That's
just
funny.
a 90s kid who grew up on a little too much Robin Williams and Jim Carrey.
Oh, well, you know, I'm with you on Robin Williams, and Mitch is definitely like the world's biggest Jim Carrey fan. So, yeah, you had us at
Nice.
hello.
Yeah.
Mike is joining us from the beautiful state of Hawaii. So it's the
Yes.
afternoon for him, whereas Mitch is about to fall asleep. So,
Me?
yeah,
Why was me, Mike?
because you're in the East Coast, man,
Oh, that's
or
true.
you're Eastern
Okay.
time zone, so
I
you're
get it,
later
I
than
get
me.
Okay.
But so, Michael, can I call you Michael?
I prefer Mike, but you can call me whatever you want.
All right.
No, Mike's good. Mike's good.
Mike, so as we do, we like to hear about you, right? That's the whole point of the show. It's Mitch and Mike's voiceover journey, but it's not really, because we've already told everybody all our journey. Everybody knows everything they need to know about us. We
My
want to
shit's
know
over.
about
Yeah.
you.
Nothing
And
to
our
say.
listeners want to know about you and why they should care to listen to the show. And I think you're a real interesting dude. So kind of take us back to, back to before you were as gray as I am. And, at some point you were something creative happened in you. What was that first spark where you were like, I need to do something creative in my life?
Oh, man. Well, the first thing is, I think I'm probably like 10 years younger than you, and I'm like just as gray, but, I'll blame that on having 600 kids and 800 pets. But
Only
so,
600.
Are you calling me old, dude?
It's like
I
its
can't
own
help it.
story.
I just see
Yeah.
my wife, and it's like, oh, another kid. What? How did that happen? It's like she fell and ding.
Well,
Magic.
see, Mike, the way it works is when
Oh, that's
when
another
a man loves a
conversation.
woman.
No. Okay. Back to the key question here. So born in '85 means I was, a child of the '90s, right? So I grew up with Power Rangers, with Spider-Man and X-Men on Fox Kids, with Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, 64, PlayStation, then getting into computer gaming, EverQuest, the whole thing. And then even getting introduced to Dragon Ball Z in the '90s, and basically being, a anime and enthusiast ever since. I met my wife through cosplay, literally. I mean, back in the days of MySpace,
I've learned so much about you in so little time.
Yeah.
I need to hear more about meeting your wife cosplaying. What happened there?
So, well, she had it was cosplay.com, and, they had forums, and, people just post pictures, and I basically saw her pictures. I'm like, wow. And then she had provided her MySpace on her profile, and it's like, wow. And back then it wasn't as creepy to to reach out and we just talked about it yesterday, where it's like, back then the likelihood of the person you see being the person on the other end was more trustworthy, I guess, compared to now, where you don't know. Are they a guy, or are they a girl? Are they a robot? We don't know. And it was a lot more natural. It was just like, hey, we have things in common.
That was Tom. That was Tom from MySpace. He was the man, and he made sure everything was done properly on the MySpace, right?
Yeah. So, oh wait, no, Tom was Facebook. Tom was like the original Facebook profile,
Tom
wasn't
was
it?
MySpace, wasn't he?
Oh, was it
Yeah.
MySpace? Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had that goofy profile picture where he was from the side.
That's
Yeah, that was Tom.
Because
So
Facebook's,
quick,
He's
Mitch,
looking it
Google
up right now. We're live
Google
on
it.
the air, and he's looking it up.
it's Tom. We win.
All right, fine, whatever. So
That sounds
yeah.
great, though.
So that is how we met. And I was in the Navy at the time, stationed in San Diego. She's from like Washington State, and she flew down to meet me. Then I flew up and met her and her family, because my family, is like East Coast, so I was alone in San Diego. And we did that a few times, and then next thing you know, we're like driving down Pacific Coast Highway, and she moved in, and 6 months after living together, we married. And Yeah, 16 plus years later, and 5 kids, and 4 dogs, 9 cats. That's what I mean when I was like throwing out the big numbers. Yeah,
9 cats?
nine
I can't
cats.
imagine any life
We had
worse.
10, and then one
Yeah,
passed away over New Year's. So anyway, you
You
asked
could have
about.
one dog, Mike.
We have 4.
I got 3 dogs, and that's plenty.
Yeah.
That's more than enough.
It's one
I'd
of those
rather
like,
have
we got
9
this,
cats.
we got this. Like, we can do it again or add more. And then you're like, and now we're finally like, we've hit the limit. What have we done? And now we're at that.
We
You
hit
don't know
double
the limit
digits.
till you hit it.
That's a sign that there's something wrong with us.
Yeah. Self-control is not one of my fruits of the spirit. Not one of my good ones. So anyway, I mean, I am a self-proclaimed eccentric, goofy goober of a person. I am. And I'm honestly at my happiest when I'm able to be silly and do voices and everything. And so that was like my childhood, like from school age and on, it's like I was doing the impressions of whether it's like Gollum and Smeagol or like random anime characters like from Dragon Ball. And that's funny enough, how I got started in voiceover was at this was like 2017, 2018, where Chuck Huber, who's a Funimation voice actor, based out of Texas, he's in Dragon Ball Z, he's in Yu Yu Hakusho, and has been voice acting a long time. He started a social media competition called Now Voice This. And that is how I got started. Is I did a very terrible iPhone video of doing Dragon Ball impressions, and I didn't even make it past the first round, but some people were kind enough to reach out or comment and say like, oh, you have potential and this and that. I'm like, what? Oh, thanks. Okay. Clearly I suck because I didn't make it past the first round, but I made friends with some of these people, and they encouraged me, and I ended up kind of researching a little bit. I bought, an AT2020 mic and, a Scarlett Solo interface off Amazon, and I'm hooking it up into, to a computer desk setup that was in like a living room, no audio treatment at all. I didn't really end up touching it much, but the cool thing was that the competition came back around, I think, every couple months on social media. And in that window of time, we had moved from Virginia, where we were living, to Hawaii. And when it came around this one time, finally, I would say, and it was early to mid 2019, I was like, I feel like I want to actually give this a real shot. And I ended up getting into a 16-week long, like meeting once a week Zoom style workshop for 16 weeks with Andy Field. And right away, him and I clicked because he was an Army reservist, I believe, at the time. He ended up retiring only a couple years ago, like 30-something years. So we clicked on the military level. But like day one of his workshop was like, here's all the genres of voiceover, and here's how much money you can make in each one. And I was like, dude, I only wanted to like have fun, do voices, impressions, and whatever, the dream of, video games or anime, like a lot of people. But he was like, his workshop was called The Business of Voiceover. And so from week to week, he would cover different topics. And I still have my notes. And he covered everything. And he brought in experts in different fields. He brought in Tim Tippett, who is a renowned audio engineer and voice actor himself. And he's been like, Tim has been featured on this a Sovos podcast. I don't know if they're running that anymore, but he's got his own credentials. He's coming in and talking about everything audio. And then he brought in Chris McCann and to talk about demos and Chris's testimony, how he started literally like on food stamps, and then he became the voice of the Arizona Cardinals, and he's making 6+ figures doing voiceover full time. So he's got an amazing story. And so he brings in these guest speakers covering all these different topics, and I went all in, like from the equipment side and investing in the online classes to learn audio editing and everything, and then paying for one-on-ones with Tim, who then taught me everything I know about audio. And
That's
gone on
friend
to
of
help
the show, Tim Powers.
Tim Powers.
Oh,
He does sound familiar, but I don't know if I've talked to him directly.
Tim Tippett.
Yeah, Tim Tippett.
Oh, Tim Tippett.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So he used to go by the name like the VO like guru. I think he's got some free videos on YouTube, but basically I went full in. I was like, I think I really want to do this. And so I went from in our first rental place here in Hawaii from a family room with a blanket over my head with kids in the background and not, casting call club and behind the voice actors websites
Uh,
where, you're lucky if you book something that's unpaid, right? Um, to a hall closet. And, I upgraded the mic. I bought a 416 and I bought these blankets that I still have, and I ended up booking my first job within really about like maybe like 6 weeks of having even started that workshop with Andy Field. It was on voices.com.
Wow.
And basically I ended up even trying Fiverr, and I ended up slowly booking on Fiverr, and that's been honestly its own journey that I'm not ashamed to talk about. Um, and it's like it is just this natural progression of you book one, a couple months later you book another, and then it's here, then it's there, then it's here, then it's there. And I built my website, and you slowly, as you book work, you start fleshing it out. And as going now a few years in, that's when in 2022 even I um I basically had booked a really cool job for like a car commercial for like the debut of a car, and it's like a $2 million like electric hypercar, and it's like on their YouTube and it's on their website, and I ended up submitting that for an award category like automotive commercial best male performance at the One Voice conference, and I didn't even plan to attend, but I did submit, and I ended up winning, and
Oh,
having to do an acceptance speech, from my booth
in
for
the
that.
booth, yeah.
Yeah, and it was because of that in July of 2022 that later in the year when Sovos came around and they were accepting award, submissions, I submitted the same thing, the same commercial, and I got nominated again. And I was like, dude, and my wife's like, maybe you should go. You actually won the award at One
yeah.
Voice. And so I ended up flying to LA in December of 2022, and I'm meeting peers and people who are now friends and mentors and coaches and agents that I'm with. And um, man, there's a lot of in between stuff, like, events that happened and relationships that went up, down, or sideways. But, ultimately, I started this just because I love anime and video games and doing character voices. But I've come to actually really enjoy all of the like genres of voiceover, and how each one, it's like in a way you're kind of putting on a character and you're getting into this scene of each thing, whether it's an advertisement or a corporate narration or a medical, or of course, I still love the video games and the fun character stuff. And to be able to have done that from, my room in a room, like my booth is literally in I assembled it in our master bedroom closet. So it's like, I guess you could say it's double walled.
Where do you
Um,
hang your clothes?
yeah, yes.
You're wearing, yeah. He's wearing them. That's
Yeah.
it.
He's got 17 shirts on right
Yeah.
now.
They all look the same.
That's why you need so much AC pumped in.
But man, I mean, straight up, like, I mean, I'm not shy about my faith and how that's played a role in this. To where like we bought our current house in July or May of 2022 because as I'm looking at my income statements and, certainly filing taxes, I'm like, I'm consistently making X number of dollars a month, that between that and my VA disability, from the Navy, like, I think we could actually afford this house. And by the grace of God, we've been in the house like 2022. So yeah, 4 years now. And we've been okay. We've been making it. So
In Hawaii, which
in
Hawaii.
Hawaii,
So
yeah.
we
is
gotta go
much
back.
more expensive to live at than just about anywhere else in the United States.
Definitely more expensive than
Pay
Michigan.
$1 jillion for like a shoebox. And
Yeah.
and dude, yeah, there's a lot there. There's still a lot there. But that's kind of like the overview, like the 5 minute,
Yeah, I'm gonna
short
point some
short.
things out if you don't mind.
Please, yeah.
Because people are scared to talk about. I'm so envious that you just get to declare that you're weird and goofy and just be that guy right off the rip. It took me a while to refine that guy, and it's so awesome to see that you just got to continue to do it, and that's how you met your wife and stuff. So congrats on being yourself the whole time. Unlike me, who had to refine. But you landed in a place where you could make a little money. and you dabbled in Fiverr. And it may still be a dabbling or a full career move to be a part of Fiverr. I've met other people like that who are scared to talk about it. Can you tell us a little more about what that looks like? Because not a lot of people want to chat about Fiverr.
I think it might be harder now for people to get in if you're starting out, um, mainly because the market is saturated. This is kind of true across any freelance pay to plays, all even social media. There's a lot of us, and there are a lot of immensely talented people out there. So as we know, a lot of it comes down to the networking and who you know, and if the as long as you're being hired for your talent, it's fine to hire somebody because you know them, but whatever. As far as Fiverr goes, I started Fiverr, trying Fiverr in the beginning because I was just trying everything. Again, in the workshop, it was discussed as one of the available platforms and pros and cons, about it.
And it wasn't poo-pooed by anyone
No, I mean
at that
it,
time.
yeah, it was disclosed that it might be an issue, and here's a couple tips about maybe not using your real name and stuff like that. But and honestly, the poo pooing is understandable because at the end of the day, it's you're still providing a more accessible means for clients to find you outside of agents that is more than likely a lot less than an industry rate.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about Fiverr for me over the years has been that well, first off, the Fiverr as a whole, you set your rate. So it's whatever you think you're worth. But
Yeah.
the problem starting out on Fiverr is that how can you say you're worth, $10 if you don't have anything worth even putting out there? It's I had to work from the bottom up. I had to start at the
Mm-hmm.
$5 for for a lot of work. So you're doing,
Right.
a little bit of money for a lot of work. But the nice thing is, as you continue to get reviews and you continue to book things even outside of Fiverr, and you're piecing together video reels showing, what you've actually booked and things you've voiced, showing your range basically as a video demo reel would, um, you can start to then command more. And so, at one point, I then transitioned to becoming a Fiverr Pro, and I had to submit for it. I had to say, hey, here's things I've done, and here's why I believe I'm qualified and credible for it. And they chose me for that. And the benefit of Fiverr Pro then is you have a minimum price that's significantly higher. And just even all the flags and the symbols and the things that, make you stand out make to a client makes it you worth that. Not only does your product show well as
Yeah.
it needs to, but now you've got all these additional bells and whistles that Fiverr allows you or puts on your profile to help you stand out. You can even do pay, you can do kind of like a pay for click type of advertising through their site, where you'll be maybe a featured thing if somebody searches certain words. And I'm going to be honest, Fiverr accounts for the majority of the income I bring in through voiceover at this point, and it has for the last couple of years, and I'm and the crazy thing is, even after having already been on it for, let's say, 2 or 3 years, I have friends, peers, that because they have an even more unique and marketable voice, like your deeper, masculine, John Deere Ford truck kind of
Yeah.
voice. Friend of mine, no joke, he was like preying on it, and he's asking me, and I was like, I think you should, give it a shot. I think you could do well. And his first year, he made more than I had at that point, and continues to make more than I have year over year.
I do love how they're like, it's not the voice. Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're that
Sometimes
guy.
you just have that voice.
Yeah.
And another example is a guy, he's a full-time chiropractor, has his own clinic, like a massive clinic, where he's at. And he does Fiverr just part-time. And he made because and I helped actually produce his demo reels, his MP3 like voiceover demo reels alongside Chris McCann, which, funny enough, started out as a mentor and a coach, and now we became friends and peers. One of the
Mm-hmm.
many, relational stories of that's been really cool about my journey. And that guy, not even with a video reel, just like a static image of like a John Deere tractor. This
Mhm.
dude in his first year made more than I have even made to date
I
on
know him.
Fiverr.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I've
he's
met him
actually
at the conferences. Yeah.
he's been posting more and more content on social media. I think, maybe, I think a little bit of political stuff, but
Mm.
certainly his voiceover stuff. And yeah, so Yeah, a lot of it is the voice. You know, I'm just another traditional, I kind of fall into a mainline, kind of common voice print. And,
Yeah.
Me too.
yeah, I mean, we're just guys, we just got
Yeah.
a regular guy voice, 30 to 40, whatever, and so it's tougher. But what's been cool, and again, one of the sort of secondary added benefits of fiber for me is actually identifying what some people, some of the coaches I worked with, they would call it your money voice. And you can know what I'm saying. It's basically like the one thing that you get hired for the most, right? Whether it's these friends and peers that have the really cool, deep John Deere, Ford truck,
Yeah.
cool, deep
Mhm.
voices, or for me, that voice that won the award for the car commercial thing, that style of voice for me has been my like money voice that I get hired for the most.
And what
And
would you call
What
that
style
voice
is
for
that?
yourself? Yeah,
Give us a
yeah.
sample.
it's I call it sort
Techie.
of no, it's more like a subdued, like powerful voice where it's like it's like an effortlessly like cool voice where you're like, this vehicle will change your life. You never know what's going to happen, but today just might be that day. And it's this subdued, not overly projected, just like cool
Do you want me
voice.
to do you accept Venmo? Because I suddenly want to buy something off of you.
I mean, but you know, I was so proud of that car commercial thing that won the award and everything, that's like at the forefront of my video reel for commercial stuff. And sure enough, that's the voice when people are messaging me. They're like, "Hey, I like the Navara Dara voice." I'm like, "Navara," but okay, got it. That's the voice you want. So whether it's SaaS or whether it's this company, it can be a medical thing, or it can be a cool thing. It's like it's a very narrow range, where you can go
Mhm.
cool or you can go soft. It can be emotional or it can be
I love how
whatever.
But
that's
it's really good
absolutely a
because it's not
character.
you.
No,
It's I
it's
mean,
that's.
you're just up
I
here and
mean,
you're happy-go-lucky and
I'm
everything, and then you get into this voice, and then it
right.
really just I mean,
You put
all
on
of
a
us kinda
character.
had that, but you really just affected something different right there, and
Hmm.
so it was really cool.
It's
Which is another you threw a wrench in things with Fiverr. You're gonna give people a little brain spasm, but it's also be yourself goes out the window when that's your voice. I mean, you're so fun and that guy's chill as hell.
Mhm.
I'm a goofy goober. This is my natural state, and
Yeah,
it's been interesting because in a demo reel, I'm of the opinion that like your first spot should be your natural voice, right? At least in an MP3 demo reel. But in the video reel, again, I was the most proud of the car commercial thing, and over time, I've come to find that's what people want the most, and so it remains at the forefront of my video reel
Hmm.
because it works, and and it's what people are hiring me for the most often. So
Good strategy.
yeah.
yeah.
Brains
Um,
explode.
so you were asking earlier, and I've sort of been all over the map because I'm probably undiagnosed ADD, ADHD. Um, but for if anybody were wanting to get into fiber now, again, the challenge is going to be how do you present yourself at a level where it's worth the time and effort, and even still, I think the first thing that you need is you need the coaching, and you need at least an MP3 demo reel, right? You need something that people can hear your range. But what I have seen, and I don't think is bad, is I've seen people, and in fact, one of the peers I mentioned actually did this. He took an existing commercial and he redubbed it. He
Hmm.
he did it with his voice and he
Yeah.
added the music, and it's a Ford truck commercial, and it sounds like it could have been the real thing. And as I understand it, and I looked into it at one point, there's nothing like wrong or illegal. You're not actually trying to sell and market the product in any way, shape, or form, or like falsely
Yeah.
representing in any way. Certainly if you were dubbing a Ford commercial and you're like, the Ford is a dump truck and you shouldn't
Yeah.
buy it. Well, that
Yeah.
might be a
It
problem.
comes with the balls on the back.
Like, do you like your ball swinging from the back of a truck?
Ford
Ford's the
comes with
truck
that.
for
Yeah, then
you.
buy a
Yeah.
Ford. It'll be found on the off-road daily. Like it'll
Hmm.
break every other week. That
Yeah.
might be a problem somehow, but
Yeah, so
If
Mitch, don't use what he just said as the clip that we post on social media because we don't want people to get the wrong idea. Ford's a good
We don't
product.
get paid for this. We'll do, yeah.
if you want to license us, if you want to paid advertising for it, we'll talk you up.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
so so for if I were starting out, I would do a demo, an MP3 demo reel. But if I were to start on Fiverr in particular, because the whole thing with Fiverr is you are the product, right? When people are searching for an English American male voice, they're going to see hundreds of people, hundreds of thumbnails. So you got to get a good thumbnail. But then immediately, when you put a mouse over somebody's thumbnail, it starts playing the video. And if you don't have a video, right away, that's going to turn off a majority of people.
Mm.
If you do have a video, what does it look like? And it's, again, you're likely gonna have to start at the bottom. However, if, for example, you're already in voiceover, you've already been doing it, you already have a resume, a portfolio of work, and a video reel you could put together, then you can actually apply almost right off the bat for the Fiverr Pro thing and try to hit the ground running in that way. And I have, you can search on there American English voiceover and filter it, and right away you'll see people with like 5 reviews, and you'll see people with 5,000. Fiverr at least does try to balance the mix of what you'll see on those first couple pages. And so again, the 2 examples of those people, they started from nothing, and just from their voice and the good thumbnail and having a video reel, or even in the one case he didn't have a video reel, he just had his voice, and because he had such a marketable voice,
Right.
it sold, and he's making an extra like 75,000 a year, part time. What? Like,
All right, Mike, it's
I
time.
accept that.
I need some
know.
of that. I haven't even made
Right?
that much on there in a year. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah. It's nuts. And I'm so excited that it can be that way. We are raised as little voiceover actors by some of our coaches to never touch some of these things.
Yeah, because they're beneath
don't
us and they're
get out
beneath
of the
the
lane.
industry,
It's-
and they're
Yes.
I mean,
undercutting rates and everything. And
and to a degree you are, but
yeah,
at the same time, it's the same reason why people will go to the higher price, vetted, known quality than go into the $5, people at all. Is there's still people do still value, somebody who's got the resume, the hundreds of reviews, the really polished looking, product. And so there's still people still see that, and they still value that, and that's why I still get hired on there. And what, for me, one of the biggest value propositions, if I were trying to actually like pitch Fiverr, is the simple fact that instead of auditioning, where it's you're lucky if you book 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 50, or if you're other websites 1 out of 100, and then agency auditions, I mean, I'm lucky if I book like 1 out of like 300 or something auditions when I've done the math. On Fiverr, the real benefit is that you create the product and your pricing, whatever you feel you're worth, and they can message you and negotiate, or they just place the order, and and whatever you feel you're worth. If you're just starting out, yeah, you're probably gonna have to start at the bottom. But if you do want to start higher because you believe you're worth it and you've got the stuff to show it, you can, then it's whatever you're worth. It's whatever's worth your time. At the end of the day, the industry it's online, and with freelance sites and pay to plays and Fiverr, or it's agents, or at this point companies are going with the AI stuff. And thankfully we've had a nice rubber band effect where people recognize not only does AI have flaws, in it, but people are so averse to the inauthenticity of it that the companies are coming back to voice actors. And you may have experienced this yourselves, where I've had a session where, like, or even if I get hired, whether it's through Fiverr or elsewhere, where they'll be like, "Oh yeah, here's our video with an AI placeholder voiceover," and you listen to it and you're like, "It's not that bad, actually." You listen to it and you're like, "You could probably pitch that. Like, you could probably put this out there and it would be fine."
Yeah.
yes,
But
we'll clip that now.
Yeah, but that's the reality of how, certainly of how
Some aren't
It's
the
getting
worst.
better, and it's scary.
It
Right.
is freaky.
And so, thankfully, I think people in general are so kind of inundated with AI, whether it's through social media or Fed slop narratives on the news or whatever, what have you, that we're all kind of like sick of it. And so companies are realizing that not only do maybe their staff, but their consumers don't like the inauthenticity of it. Like they want a real person who actually does care about the product voicing the thing, or certainly, for character work, 100%. Nobody, like the moment a video game, even a AAA title, if there's anything that comes out that they used AI generative this
Oh
for the
yeah.
art
Mm-hmm.
or the voice,
Yeah.
dude, that game immediately gets like review bombed. And again, because people want
Yeah.
authenticity, and so that's where
Well,
there
and
is
that's
still a
where,
market.
yeah, you've got like the specifics of a video game is you have a certain type of person that, for the most part, will play a video game, and they're creatives as well, and that they have that mindset of don't throw this AI crap at me. They understand, most of us in the world understand the qualities of AI, the things that it's good for, and the things that it shouldn't be used for, and and taking the place of a human being as far as performance.
And
That's why
art,
it's like,
yeah,
James Earl Jones's family sold the rights to his voice so that they could
yeah,
make Darth Vader content forever.
Oh,
I don't like that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you've got, just those, it's starting to become, it's not normal, it's not commonplace, but there are those Hollywood stars that have like licensed themselves
mm,
beyond the grave.
yeah.
And, like, was it Val Kilmer? I don't know.
Oh,
Somebody recently is like, they did an AI version of him in some kind of film, and it made the news.
oh yeah.
And it
Uh,
just, more
yeah,
and more people, consumers, like you said, are balking at that because they don't want to see AI take the place of their favorite creatives.
yeah. I think it's one thing when it's the very end of like the Fast and Furious film where, they use like the high quality Weta, face scan animation to, I think it was like Paul Walker's brother, that
Yeah.
actually did the scene, but then they something with the voice where it made it sound like him. Maybe I'm sure he hadn't obviously then recorded those one or two lines, but like people can appreciate that. It's done in memoriam. It's the end of the film that wasn't able to finish. That's something that people, I think, are okay with, right? And the
yeah.
fact that it was his brother. I mean, how close can you get to, at least showing respect for, the original actor? But yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. It's and anything more than that. And I was really disappointed. I was watching a NASCAR channel YouTube video. It was about like Cletus McFarland, and I'm a car guy, so I just have I've Cletus McFarland is a big content creator for car stuff, and and I'm watching this video talking about him, and I hear certain words being pronounced wrong, and I'm like, dude, this is AI.
You
Oh my
son of a.
lord. Freaking
Mhm.
NASCAR is using AI to narrate their, 5, 8, 10 minute long, YouTube videos. I'm like, are you kidding me? And so that's one of probably many examples of some bigger companies that are,
Yeah.
saving the pennies to, use AI. And you're like, that's a disappointment, man.
And yeah,
There's no
to
passion in
to
it in the
I,
voice.
I've watched a few of those, videos on YouTube or whatever, whether it's NFL content, whether it's what, and it's not necessarily like NFL.com putting it out, or it might not even be like NASCAR putting, but there are videos that are put out that have hundreds of thousands of clicks on them, and they're AI, and then you look at the comments and they're just getting trashed,
Yeah.
absolutely trashed, because
Yeah.
everybody knows.
Yeah.
Now, as you said, it's getting better. Someday, maybe it will learn, and it will figure out how to emote better. But it's still, and again, if you're listening to this, you're a voice actor. I mean, there's a um, I don't know what, a bill, a motion, or whatever in front of Congress now that
Uh,
Nava is
well, Nava's, helping fight on our behalf, and they're doing
yeah,
stuff. But and then SAG after themselves, Sean
right,
Astin is the lead there. Um, I can tell you that, I was since, AI is kind of like, exponentially just exploded in this just the last year or 2 years, really,
Mm-hmm.
on social media and just all the easily accessible generative tools that are out there now. I was worried that when I did my numbers that I saw, I was going to see a massive like 25%, 50% cut. But in reality, it was like negligible. Even with Fiverr, to be honest,
Hmm.
it was a negligible drop, if any. And like 2022 was like my best calendar year, but a lot of that could be attributed to COVID, and where a lot of because doors were literally shut and AI wasn't yet available, so commercially that remote work was a bigger thing. I was able to do just one or two like anime things and video games, and some of the LA and studios and Texas places were actually opening doors for remote talent at the time, and they've since closed their doors, but
Yeah,
for the
right.
most part. But
Oh,
yeah, I
boo.
mean I feel like what I really want to say is like if somebody is listening and they want to even pursue voiceover, the short answer is that AI has taken a portion of the work, but not thankfully not enough that you can't still start or sustain a voiceover business, if you're already in it. At the end of the day, voiceover is because it's, we're self, we're like one man businesses, right? It's all about you and how much effort you put in. Is it's the you'll get out what you put in kind of a thing. Like right now, before our call, or before everything started, I was like, man, I just haven't done a good job being active and present in social media the last few years. But when I was, it was crazy because when I did attend that conference in person, Sovos 2022, when I went, there were people that recognized me that I'd never met and came up to me. And I was so like humbled by that. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I've seen some of your posts and comments, and I just want to
Yeah.
say thank you. And what you said was helpful, or I appreciate this, or thank you for that." And I'm like, or like, "Wow, I've seen your stuff," and like coming at me like I'm famous. I'm like, dude, I'm a dude just doing. I do my voiceover after I put my kids to bed,
Mm-hmm.
for maybe like 1, 2, 3 hours at most a night before
Mm.
I need to go to bed at like 11 o'clock and then wake up at 4 a.m. for work. I'm just a dude, right? I'm just a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude, like
This guy's another
for
dude.
real. But that was really humbling. And again, it does go to show that, even when people don't comment or anything, that your presence on social media, there is an impact. People do see what you say and what you do and who you are and how you are. And for better or worse, that can really influence, your relationships.
I
Um,
might be screwed.
you know,
It's
I,
just snarky shit.
I mean,
Yeah,
look, I'll be
well,
honest. The politics over the last, we'll just say year at this point, have been not so great for our country, and so and then certain people who have lost their lives, and I became kind of vocal when some of that happened, and I ended up losing, contact, basically friendship with some voice actor peers that just vehemently disagreed, but then they wouldn't even have a conversation about it. They were just like, whatever, I can't, and they block you, and you're like, okay, clearly we
mm-hmm.
just can't even be like two adults. But so you do, you do have to be careful of course, what you say and what you put out there. If you choose to be political, understand that there will be some people that agree with you 100%. There will be people that are very, very vocal that disagree with you, and then there will be people who see what you say or do and they just outright ignore you from then on. And I think that's one of the biggest sucky parts is like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know,
Mm-hmm.
whether
Mm.
you put, whether you do one thing one way or another thing another way, there are people that will receive it well, and there are people that are like, oh, screw that guy. And there's just nothing you can do, you know. And you may never know, are you blacklisted, or because you said a certain thing, or maybe you made a mistake at some point. I've thankfully I can count on one hand the amount of fellow voice actor peers that I that are blocked or that they've blocked me, kind of a thing. But we're all people, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
that just happens.
I feel like that's a good segue into my counter argument, which is if you're trying to get into voiceover, we're full. Get out.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a week or two in. I think we're set. So go, I don't know, there's other art out there, doodling, maybe throw
Yeah,
your
go
hands in
away so
some
we can
clay
have
or
the job.
something. Yeah, I can't have you guys here, taking all these low end. I'm just kidding.
There's
But
too many 35 to 55-year-old
yeah,
white guys
if
in this
you are
business.
my age and
Leave some
my
for us.
general complexion,
Yeah.
just no. All right. I'm just kidding. I have to agree. But
But is he?
There's always
um
truth to just kidding, is what my wife
Mm,
told me.
oh,
there's always
okay.
a little bit
Well,
of truth
I
there.
I
Yeah.
think I'm telling that to myself a little bit, not to everybody else. I think you should absolutely 100% do what Mike did and step in wholeheartedly and learn every aspect of every little piece of everything. If that's how your brain works, it's not how mine works.
Yeah, me
But
neither. That's part of my problem.
that's part of my problem, and
Hmm.
it's really cool watching people like you, Mike, run through and get every little piece down and understand it the way that like when you start talking tech, my eyes are like whoop. I'm
Hmm.
done. Like I
I
don't even
start.
want to. I have not had anyone complain about this zone, so I'm like good until it happens. But to anyone starting, I have to say follow Mike's footsteps, break some rules, but learn a lot. That's what I have to say for real.
Like drop there.
Oh,
I
There you
will
go.
say, because I've tried to at times like reach out. I've even done free, like Zoom calls and stuff, for people to join. And I'm like, and I've even put together like a syllabus and like, guides and all kinds of stuff to help people that want to get started in voiceover. I do feel that there are some foundations. There is, I think at least there's an ABC. If you were to ask me how do you get started in voiceover, step one is, well, identifying what your goals even are. What do you even want to do? Because based on what your goal is going to determine where you need to prioritize your effort. But even so, that's like kind of like step one. It's like, do you just want to do it for fun? Okay, fine. That's how you can start. You might be surprised that you might go down a different turn, as like I have, where I'm like, oh, I just want to do anime and video games, like a lot of people.
yeah,
And then I
yes.
get into it, and I'm like, I actually like the commercial stuff. And being a car guy, when I do car related content,
Yeah.
I'm like, I friggin' love it. It's like you could pay me a lot less and I would do that. But the fact that a lot of times they pay a lot for a little bit of work is amazing. But I will say this. So if you're going to start out in voiceover, the first tangible like thing you would have to do is have a dedicated space, have a dedicated recording space. Again, I started in really a hall closet was really the first real place with blankets and pillows. And then, yeah, I bought acoustic blankets that I still use. And you need, if in the end you're an amazing actor, but you sound, blah, 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 you're not going to get hired. It doesn't matter. So, in my opinion, and from my experience, audio quality is the first thing that has to be, figured out. And that's
Before
where,
you training, before you learn some shit.
if in the end, I mean, I would still say, even if you're an amazing actor, if your audio quality is terrible, guarantee you won't get hired
Oh yeah, for sure.
unless you're local to
Well, yeah,
LA
and I think
or,
we say
you know,
right.
yeah,
I mean, it all kind of goes together. I mean, don't wait on training until you get the equipment because you might get the wrong equipment. You want to
yeah.
have the
And
right people influence you to do the right thing and set up and not spend too much, but also
right.
spend enough.
Yeah,
And
you don't have to start with expensive stuff. You can start with the blankets and the pillows and like I did. And
Mhm.
dude, I mean, I booked my highest paying job to date, from, again, a closet with like a shag rug behind my monitor and and these same acoustic blankets around me in a closet, using a computer, like an end table, like a nightstand that I've had my laptop on
Yeah.
and my audio interface like underneath, and I'm like melting. But so I mean, you can start with little, and I've there are entry level equipment, microphones, interfaces, and so on
Yeah.
that
Chloe
sound
Elmore was
great.
telling us a few weeks ago that she booked her first job off of a USB mic.
Yeah,
Don't do
100%.
that,
Yeah,
but
you
yeah,
you
Or do
can,
it.
and
it's possible.
it's only that's been one of the fun experiences. Whether I everything is like building, right, building the foundation, like, okay, getting exposed to the technical stuff and then learning it, becoming comfortable, becoming proficient, becoming like to where now I was taught how to fish and now I'm teaching other people kind of thing. When I set them up and I dial in their audio and I'm teaching them because I believe in that. I don't believe in holding, the knowledge to myself. At the end of the day, it's all about if I give you the tools, it's how much effort will you put in. Let that be your only you know factor that determines your success. And that was my attitude when I started was like I don't want something I can control like you know my microphone to or something if I could just spend a little bit, I want my only limiting factor in my success to be me, my performance, my ability, because that's something that does take time to grow and to get better. So that's why, at least in the beginning, I was willing to invest. I did buy the 416, and I'm glad I did. There's now a alternative that's literally a tenth of the price. The Cinco D2 is like 150 bucks, and
Oh,
there's videos on YouTube you can find people comparing it to a 416, and it is a negligible difference. Just as
Oh,
one of many examples on the
oh.
hardware side, and
Okay,
the
well, we're
benefit.
gonna.
yeah, we'll
Yeah,
talk
we can
offline.
cover tech stuff. You know,
But you said the word success. I have to. I mean, we are getting close to our special, very special time, and there's some really juicy, tasty, wonderful things other than your award
Yeah,
that you won that I really want to dig into.
okay.
yeah, me too, as
Oh
well.
man,
And I
you
Mike,
think
gotta.
Mitch and I had the same thought.
What?
Mike Pelletier, I'll let you hit him with it. Please ask
Well,
all the pertinent
our
questions.
if you've lasted this long, our esteemed guest, Mike Ciporkin, uh, has had the opportunity to do a voice in a major motion picture. You may have heard of it.
Oh.
Came out earlier this year. A little picture from Angel Studios called David that took the world by storm.
Don't even
Made a
know what it's
lot of
about.
money. A lot of people saw it. My grandkids watch it on the regular. Mike Siporkin was in that. Is in the credit roll.
How does this
And so I
happen?
want to I want to find out a how did that come about? B, as a Jewish Christian, that had to be just like, I mean, that's got to be the pinnacle of everything you've done so far, I'm assuming. And C, is there anything else on the horizon that you're doing for Angel or any other big projects?
So the short version, how I got the job was through a talent agent. It was just a standard audition that was sent out. Sunrise Studios. And here, I actually auditioned for basically every character from adult David to Saul to Samuel. And in the end, the character I got cast for is like a soldier who's sent to go get young David from his house to basically say, hey, King Saul wants to see you. Um, and so in the end, I booked it just kind of standard through a talent agent, just as one of the many auditions that you get. And because of being ethnically Jewish, that was sort of a necessary thing in order to preserve sort of the authenticity of the characters. And I do think there is absolutely a time and place for that kind of authenticity when it comes to ethnicity, for certain characters. And I'm happy to of who I am and where I come from, and I'm happy that that they chose, even in their casting, to try and at least bring in at least they definitely cast it out to other people down the road, but at least initially they were trying to make it as authentic as possible. And you can
Right.
understand how in a motion picture film, you may not there aren't going to be many A-list level Christian singers that are ethnically Jewish. You know what I'm saying? There may be
I
some
even auditioned for David. They were really going down the line.
yeah, yeah. I remember trying to sing, and I think you could do a sample of like The Greatest Showman, and I'm as part of this singing sample, and I'm a shower singer, so I obviously I didn't get cast for it, but you can understand and respect that they chose a very talented, renowned
Oh yeah.
Christian artist to sing for adult David, and I think even do his acting. Um, but yeah, that I mean, it wasn't anything overly special as far as getting the opportunity. It did just come through, a regular agent, AB2 or AB Square Talent out of LA,
Okay.
who's, kind
Wow.
of a really good middle tier agency that gets a ton of work. And there's even a lot of overlap with other agencies with them. But if you're able to get with them, they do get a really good volume. And I've booked, a fair bit through them, including some AAA video games and, cool commercials and stuff too.
Great.
Um, but yeah, I mean, look, straight up, you asked the question about like, is that the pinnacle? On the faith side, I would say, yeah. because, at the end of the day, if you are a believer, if you're for you to use your voice to serve, God's kingdom, and to bring people, to help produce content of, that's faith based, and, and wholesome in any way, is so fulfilling, right? It's like, I
Yeah.
do it for, it's like you would do it for free because it's the right thing to do and you're helping people. Um, and so, yeah, anytime I can do faith-based content like that, in general, I'm ecstatic. And in this case, the fact that it was for a film, is amazing. And I'm so deeply humbled and grateful for it. And I have a relationship even with one of the producers that, a couple other times they've even tried to come to me directly, through the agent, with other roles and other projects. I can't unfortunately say that I booked those, but the fact that they even still think of me,
Yeah.
and through some
Awesome.
other voice actor peers who are local and know that some of those same people even better, that even they have brought me up in conversations, is like, it's really cool. And so that just goes into the relational aspect, of, being honest with who you are, and, being the same person on camera, off camera, in the studio, out of the studio, kind of thing. And I have tons of really cool stories, centered around that, that of people I ended up meeting because they picked up on that, and it created relationships, because maybe they felt convicted, about stuff, or just in general, like, again, going to a voiceover conference wearing a "He is greater than I" hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, "Hey, I know what that means," or "Hey, I know the reference," or "Hey, isn't that a company based out of Hawaii? Are you from Hawaii?" I'm like, not. I live there, and that is
I
where
am
the
now
company.
from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I know.
flew from there.
Right, right. I mean, I've been here
Where
like
this
8 years
can
at
came
least.
from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be honest, I'm like, there's been plenty of times where I'm like, it is so expensive to live here. Like, God, if you want me to go somewhere cheaper, that would be great. And in the end, He's made it clear where, nope, like every door closes except the one that is to stay here. And,
Hmm.
very much living on a prayer, like month to month, I do count on my voiceover to help, pay the bills. And by the grace of God, I'm able to do it, month to month, without my wife having to work. And between that and my VA disability, and then my day job, which is what brought me here in the first place, which
Mm-hmm.
is working on our Navy ships out of Pearl Harbor. That's what I
Right.
do for a living.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole different
Yeah.
guarantee. That's a
All right. We're
whole different.
scheduling you for interview
Yeah.
number 2, because we
Well,
got a whole bunch of more
completely
questions.
different.
There's a
You know,
lot here. I mean, again, I get at, like, this is like the super high level, but there's so many, like, really rich stories of success and failure and lessons learned, in every facet of my experience, relationally, with projects, turning down voiceover projects because, it went against, like when I'm reading the script and it's like full of profanity, or, content that I'm like, dude,
sounds
if I
great.
if I can't say and do this in front of my kids, like, then I'm not going to do it, in this game. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. That's
if I
Mitch's
can't.
favorite thing.
I know.
If
Can
it's
you
only
hand some of
profanity,
this
Mitch is
over?
like,
I see the role of the devil come through. I'm like, you guys, someone's speaking to me.
I know what you're talking about, and I won't lie. I did submit for that. I
But
did.
that's for you. That's still telling a story that you
Yes.
feel is,
Yes.
and for me, it's like, oh, juicy, like evil side is so interesting to me. I love exploring the darkness. So the devil is like, oh man, playing with that character would be sick.
It's I'm for me, yeah, it's more the artistic, telling of the story, and if somehow
I
my
get it.
acting can bring some level of, we'll call it authenticity in the performance, to that character, I'm okay with it. That doesn't go into my gray area, which is very small. But again, it if we have the time, like, I basically posted on, like, X, or it was still Twitter at the time, for us
Mhm.
old people,
Yeah.
about how I turned down a job because I had too much profanity and bad stuff in it. And I posted that. And then there is a very renowned AAA video game where one of the actors in the game, he curses quite a lot. And I'm like, man, I love the game, but it's like I can't play it around my kids because your character curses a lot, and I feel like it's almost not even necessary because the acting is great and the script is great, and it's like you don't need the profanity in there at all, in my opinion. It's almost like lazy writing. That's my opinion. And he messaged me this voice actor for this AAA video game messaged me because he saw my post about how I had turned down work because it went against my morals, ethics, values, whatever. And he felt convicted about it. And he basically shared with me, he's like, I do, he tells me he's a believer, and he actually has felt very convicted about having taken the role and the profanity that's in it. But then he shared with me how the character being so popular has given him a platform and a voice to actually share the gospel. And I'm like, interesting. And so, God, I'm like brain farting on his name, but it's actually, I'm going to look it up now.
Okay, we're looking it up.
Yeah,
I'm going to look
we're
it up.
looking at memes. Well, and you see, I mean, again, it's all about your personal convictions, right? I mean, you've got, I mean, people like Chris Pratt and Mark Wahlberg, who are professed believers that still star in R-rated movies and curse on screen and all of that kind of thing. And it's one of those areas that some people believe,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have any of that vernacular in your speech, and some people say, you know what, it's just kind of it comes out, and it's not, I'm not using the Lord's name in vain. So wherever you fall on that fence, ultimately it's the gospel is the gospel, and if you've
however
got
big or small your gray area is, I am the same.
Right.
Where there's some things where I'm like,
small.
man, I'm a little like I don't know how I feel about this, but when it goes outside of that, I have absolutely turned down projects. I'm like, even faith stuff where admittedly it's other religions, and I'm like, it's like, it's hard because I respect your different religion, but I wouldn't feel comfortable using my voice to help promote your different religion.
Right. And as long as we all have respect for each other to, hey, it's a personal choice. And some people who believe the same thing are going to go after that role, and some people are not. And that's okay. You're making a choice based on who you are and what your beliefs are and what your convictions are.
Yeah.
And nobody should say boo to that. That's between, you and your Lord.
Boo. Swear more.
I mean, but again, it's however big or small your gray area is, stay true to that. And again, some of the mistakes I made that have cost me I'm hoping only one or two relationships, but who knows? You never know. People could just find out and then cut you off, and then you'll never know. And maybe I have doors closed, and that's why I'm not able to get into certain, rooms, so to speak. But and specifically it's about the ethnicity, and it's like the idea of an actor of one ethnicity voicing an ethnicity that they're not, right? I mean, you think of The Simpsons and all the other shows and cartoons of of the past, where it never used to be a problem until it became understood that there are people of said ethnicities and minorities that for various reasons maybe don't get a fair shot. And so there is some validity to that argument, and there is validity to the need for authenticity of an actor to accurately reflect the character that they're doing. And I don't disagree with that argument. I was a little more naive to it, and so I think at one time, and so that's I think did cost me some relationships immediately with one or two people, and who knows however more. But hey, it's a lesson learned, it's a mistake made, and I understand better now both sides of the argument, and and so it is what it is. But
for sure,
I'm just grateful to have the testimony that I do, and the stories and the relationships that I do, to be able to provide for my family. Again, I went into this as just again, anime and video games. Yeah. And by the grace of God, I've been in some really cool video games, not so much anime, a little bit, only like side characters. But, I've done, it's voiceover is my creative outlet, because again, whether I'm doing the cool voice, or, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Hi. Or I'm like, how dare you? I'll destroy you. This is fun for me.
Yeah,
the high, the low, the left, the right, the whole spectrum of voices and things that I can do, and getting, You do so many auditions, and maybe you do the same type of voice for a particular archetype, and then eventually you get booked for it, and you're like, yeah,
They
it's hard.
like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Hey,
actually
they like
liked
me.
what I
They
did,
like
and they
me.
liked my
Yeah.
choices,
Well,
and that's
hey,
what, yeah.
Mitch, I heard a word that he said there that one could construe as being a segue to something else. I don't know
Oh
if you caught
gosh.
that word.
Did I hold on? It was or it was
Started with an F.
it was shooting to the top and don't care who you leave behind and
Fun, fun.
oh, I thought you were gonna say a bad word, Mike.
No, yeah, well, see what I
I
did
mean,
there. I
it
did a
starts with
misdirect.
two of the same letters, but
Yeah.
Have
No.
more fun.
Yeah.
And I heard some of the fun you were having. Are you ready to play, Mike?
Do you want to play a game?
Ooh.
This summer, just when you thought you had seen enough stupid, scary movies and podcasts, come Mike, Mitch, and Mike.
whatever.
Mike squared.
Three Mikes. Yeah.
Two mics
Three
and a
Mikes and a
Mitch.
Mitch.
Oh wait.
Two
I'm not
Mikes,
Mike.
one Mitch.
Mitch is the cream in the middle. All right. So with that,
Ew.
yeah, no, yeah. Well, you know what I mean. It's an Oreo. I
Uh-oh,
mean, come on.
yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
all right. Let's pause here. We'll be back in just a second when we come up with something really, really stupid to act out.
Talk about gray area.
Uh,
All right.
I smell
And
numbers.
we're back, and yeah, numbers counted
Okay.
down, and we're back. See, that's
Wow.
that's the way it
Okay,
works.
cool.
So this is going to be disgusting. And let the record show that Mike Ciporkin is the one that came up with the idea.
Mm-hmm.
He also wanted to go commando and not do a not do a rehearsrsal. We
Yeah.
have barely seen this thing. We're
We
just
had
going to
zero
go.
dress rehearsal.
Yes. So with that said, we'd like to present to you the Tissue Summit.
Tissue Summit. This summer.
A crumpled tissue lies center stage. 3 boogers sit upon it like kings on a ruined battlefield.
Action! Order! We will now determine who among us is the superior booger.
Superior? Buddy, you sound like a cracker that got left in a glove compartment.
Survived 3 winters, 2 allergy seasons, and a drywall renovation.
That's nothing. I once shut down an entire nostril for 6 consecutive days.
Yeah, because you're basically a biological traffic jam, you gross son of a gun.
You're just nose water with confidence issues.
At least can move. Look at you. You got the consistency of a haunted pudding.
Thank you.
You 2 lack discipline. A proper booger should have structure, integrity, engineering.
You're literally a nose fossil, you old crackerjack.
That's right, that's right.
I believe you meant to say a monument. A monument of glory.
Well, a museum exhibit, more like it.
Monument.
A museum exhibit. A very dusty museum exhibit is all I'm saying.
All right. Look, you two, look. Everybody knows the clear snot like me is elite. We're aerodynamic. We're elegant. We can escape the nostril at 30 miles an hour during a sneeze. That's
Elegant? You dribble out in people's faces during sad movies, so.
Wait a minute. Those are emotional support operations, to be exact.
Your tears got a little lost.
Gentlemen, the fact remains, when humans find me, they find accomplishment.
They feel concerned when they find you. No, that's me. Humans see me and immediately start asking medical questions.
It's true.
It's because you are literally a symptom of being sick.
A memorable symptom.
Okay. You know what? Let's talk achievements.
Achievements. Very well. You go first, Snot.
I've ruined job interviews.
I've ruined first dates, so.
I once made a man believe he had a pebble in his nose for 3 straight weeks.
Well, that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty strong. Did the tissue just move?
Oh, nobody moves.
Everybody, remain.
We're being picked.
This is it.
Stand your ground, man. Stand.
Ground. What ground? We're on the tissue. I'm sliding off.
I'm too moist for this.
Bring together and let's form a defensive triangle.
We aren't a military unit, you old.
I never learned geometry.
Brothers, whatever happens next, it has been an honor of a lifetime to serve alongside you.
We literally met 30 seconds ago when we exited the nose of that guy.
Well, I still feel a deep connection.
Yeah.
That's rude.
After everything we've accomplished.
Don't worry, gentlemen. History will remember us.
Nobody remembers.
I choose to believe there's a Hall of Fame.
Indeed, with metal plaques. Actually, golden plaques with all those different kinds of boogers all over.
Yes.
Yeah, but they've held together with mucus or something?
Well, naturally.
Long
live
live
Wow.
Gross. That was totally gross.
These were solid choices.
I am so proud of you, Mike.
Well, thanks for that, Mike.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the hang, Mike.
I am a crunchy booger.
Yes,
Now
you
and
are,
always.
and that's how we will remember you.
#1 resume bullet. I once voiced a
and
crunchy booger.
always.
I was a
So how is
crunchy
Ciporkin
booger.
on the show? Oh, he's great. He's a crunchy little booger.
He's just a crunchy little booger.
yeah.
That's me,
Wow.
a crunchy little booger. You can stick me on a wall and make, some artwork with me, or you can just
Yeah.
stick me across the room and not worry about your wife ever finding me.
You
Till
know,
you're back cleaning later, or she steps on me.
you can pick your friends, and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose.
You can pick a crunchy booger like me.
And with that,
Is that our goodbye? Okay.
I think that's our goodbye.
Okay.
What?
No! That's
Bye.
not true! That's impossible!
Bye now.